talking mailbag time, and as I mentioned, Abby Barmore, I think I wonder if she went skiing. I think she's in Colorado.
Skiing?
Or just she's on a trip. So I'm going to do my best to be Abby. I'm not Abby. I'm just going to tell you guys, though.
No one is.
But mailbag question number 1 from Maurice Allen. Can either the men's and women's team make it to the second weekend? Well, I think the women's team have a great chance, guys. I mean, they're a 6 seed.
Mm-hmm.
So their path to the second weekend is to get through a 3.
Okay.
Now, Robin, on the men's side, what are their
much more difficult
odds against Houston?
I think it's probably a 50-50 against Texas A&M, because A&M is really hot right now. Nebraska was the highest 8 seed, and
they were the highest 8
seed. So they were just right above the line to be a 7.
Oh wow!
I know, which crazy. And then Texas A&M was the second highest 9 seed. So they were right on that line too, of potentially being an 8. So that, I mean, it's a coin flip game, like those 8-9 games usually are. So I mean, that in itself makes it decent odds. But then you look ahead to the next week. Houston, I think when they play, like, their ceiling is probably the highest of any team in college basketball, just because of the way that they defend. They are absolutely relentless. And when they are dialed in defensively, you will not score on them.
Great. Yeah, that'll be tough.
There's a good Calvin Sampson-Hoiberg storyline there, because obviously Hoiberg was playing at Iowa State when Sampson was the coach of Oklahoma, correct?
Yes.
Well, I'd have to put that together in my head, but
so.
That seems about right.
Yeah, Sampson was the coach there for a long time.
Yeah, that seems like about right. As far as A&M
goes, would have been Billy Tubbs.
I don't know Billy Packer. We'll have to figure that out later. I would say this about Texas A&M: their ceiling's pretty high, their floor is pretty low. I mean, they have wins. Texas A&M has wins this season against Iowa State, a 2 seed, 2 wins against Kentucky, a 3 seed, and a win against Tennessee, which I believe is a 2 seed. They have wins against Iowa State, Tennessee, and 2 against Kentucky, so they can play. Now they've also had some bad losses, so they're a guard, or their best players are guards. Right?
They have a good coach.
They have one good guard, and their front court is their strength. They're the number 1 offensive rebounding team in the country.
They miss a lot of shots.
They miss a ton of shots, and they're the worst 3-point shooting team in the country.
Ooh.
One of.
Ooh.
So they're a team that it's like a mixture of Indiana and Illinois, in the sense that they rely on their bigs. They don't shoot the 3-pointers, but they crash the glass on every possession, are an extremely physical team and full of athletes. So it's kind of picture a hybrid of what Nebraska saw on Friday and what they saw on Saturday.
As far as Houston goes, now they did get boat raced by Iowa State in a Big 12 tournament.
They're a weird team. That's why I say their ceiling is as high as any team in the country. But when they don't bring that defensive intensity, they don't have the offense to make up for it.
God, you would think they would bring it to the NCAA.
You would think.
No, and I mean, I've talked to Doc Sadler about him. Doc's at Kansas, sees them. I mean, Houston, in its first go-round in the Big 12, won the Big 12. Toughest basketball conference in the country. And they are, like you said, they're long and athletic, just kind of like you'd expect. They don't shoot it well.
It's amazing that Sampson at his age still has this kind of like juice, that he can build teams. I mean, that's who Indiana had to replace Bob Knight, right, Rob? I mean, he was like one of the guys. Yeah. First.
I don't remember the chronology on that, but he was up there.
Was he before or after Mike Davis?
After.
Yeah.
Was he after Mike Davis?
I can't remember.
Yeah, with Mike Davis, then Sampson.
Okay.
And Sampson got him up to number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he got fired for making phone calls.
Too many phone calls.
Impermissible phone calls.
Yeah, impermissible phone calls to recruit.
Remember when that was a thing?
Yeah.
But
now you're cutting $1 million checks.
Yeah.
All right, let's take it to the next question, because this one kind of got my attention. It's a good one from Jason Page. Rank in order the most despised: Steve Peterson, Scott Frost, Trev Alberts.
Peterson, Alberts, Frost.
That's what I was going to say.
Peterson, Alberts, Frost.
Yeah. I agree. Peterson, he's the one that kind of like
the ultimate villain.
Started it all, the downfall of Nebraska. And so, like, I don't think that there's any question there.
No, you're 100%.
Frost was more just disappointing. You know, the fact that it was built up to be this golden boy savior comes home, I'm going to save everything. And then it was just,
we have Frost 3 on Husker Online. Frost 3, Alberts 2.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So so Trev for me is 2.
Yeah.
Just because of the betrayal.
I think
betrayal.
The UNO
that's
angle too.
Yes, I know it is. No, I that's a good word. Betrayal.
Cutting wrestling in football, UNO still. I add that to the
how he did it.
I mean, they won the national title, and he called Mike Denny that night and cut the program. I mean,
hey, good job. Your program's done.
Like in the history of history, that's never happened. I don't think.
I would hope not. Can't be much precedent.
But they were they wanted to go Division I.
Yeah,
and they had to.
You think you could have waited?
They couldn't be in 3 league. They couldn't be in 3
overnight.
They couldn't be in like 3 Division I leagues if I'm not mistaken. Like you can't do that. There was something that kind of. We're not getting into that, but yeah.
You know what? Rank and order the most despised. So we all agree it's Peterson, Alberts, Frost. Then I would put Harvey Perlman 4th. Harvey Perlman's 4th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like Rob said, I don't think people hate Scott Frost. It's just more like disappointed how wrong we all were.
Yes.
Like that era, like
so much hope was placed on him, and it just never amounted to anything.
And he didn't really ingratiate himself much to the fan base. Never did. Never really tried.
He was like that as a player too.
Sure. Like even his opening presser when he basically like went after Dirk and just basically said, "Stay away from my family."
He did go after Dirk.
That was a bad move.
It was a bad look.
Like don't do that. Like
he was very aggressive. Like it wasn't at the podium. It was off to the side. But I was standing there. It was a very aggressive. You stay away from my family.
But he was kind of a new person in power that as a media guy, he's not going to be going anywhere for a long time. You can't challenge that.
Right.
Just like when Pelini came, he cussed me out a couple times for no reason. I'm like, well, I can't, it's new coach. I can't really like fist fight Bo Pelini here.
It'd been a good fight though. I mean, are you ready? Would you be ready for that?
Bo was more bark than bite, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's 100.
All right, let's take it to number 3. Let's see.
Come on, Abby.
This is from Jordan. Do you think eventually the conferences get so big that they go back to regional divisions? I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say I hope so. And why are you saying no?
Because they want schedule equity.
Yeah, it's going to be like a professional model.
And I don't think you can have equity.
That's a good point.
Because Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan
are
just going to cannibalize each other every year.
Yeah.
And then that kind of, if you can eliminate one of those games for those schools, it helps boost them to the playoff.
Who's in Nebraska's region in this scenario?
Well, Iowa was able to protect their 3 main ones. They got Wisconsin, they got Minnesota, they got Nebraska. Nebraska was only able to get Iowa protected.
Mm-hmm. So your Nebraska's region would it'd be kind of back to the Big 8, back to the West Division of the Big 10, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would.
It'd be a nice little safe harbor.
Well, it'd be Minnesota, it'd be Iowa, and Wisconsin.
Nebraska could use that safe harbor.
But I like the idea of going west. I mean, I think playing those 4 Western teams is a good fit.
Yeah, I do too. You just had a great answer to that question. Mm-hmm. Scheduled equity probably precludes it from happening.
All right, final question. Sean, are you loading the horse trailer for Memphis? All right, I will say Steve Sipple is the unofficial Husker fan expert of Memphis. You just went to Memphis.
Yeah. So FedEx Forum is just like, I mean, literally like, I'm going to say a block from Beale Street. Mm-hmm. I mean, so go to Beale Street. It's very safe.
I've been asked like 25 times already on Twitter. What's the Husker meetup bar? What bar? What bar would you recommend?
I'm gonna say all of them.
What's the best spot?
I don't
for Nebraska fans to completely take over and plant the flag.
I don't have that because I don't think it's on Beale Street, Rob. There is a bar. I will say this. I can't say the name of. Oh, I could have a place here. I might have a place.
Here we go.
If you go to the Peabody, right across the street. Catty corner from the Holiday Inn is a nice sort of bar eatery. It's not real nice, but
do they have Busch Light?
Yeah.
What is the biggest like pregame bar though for a Grizzlies game? That's probably the best thing to figure out.
I have no idea.
I'll do some research.
Like I mean, there's got to be like a multi-level. Just this is the bar. If you go to a Grizzlies game, you go to before the game.
Because in Minneapolis, Lions Pub is like the Husker bar in Minneapolis, and I tried to go there after the game on Saturday, and like you couldn't even get in the door.
Really,
it was packed, not a single seat available. So when Nebraska fans have a home base in a situation like this, they absolutely swarm it. So we got to figure that out. I'll do some research.
Do some research, but I mean. the key is there's a lot of places to stay downtown. There are areas you want to avoid, as Sean referred to earlier, and you have to be careful because they are right around Beale Street, and you have to mind your P's and Q's. I was told by
you're not walking around the streets of Hastings here.
No, and I imagine now I'm just going to keep it at that. But the FedEx Forum is right close to Beale Street. So a really good setup. It's actually perfect. And the FedEx Forum, by the way, is a great place to watch a game. And it is really nice.
There's
really
probably 20 downtown hotels within a mile of the arena.
Absolutely.
And you're in one of them.
Yeah.
And I think for the experience, Rob, you need to go in the Peabody, get an old fashioned, watch the Ducks.
Watch the Ducks.
I mean, the Peabody, that's a legendary property.
Yeah, and don't do what I did. I got called out by the lady that was letting the ducks out because they'll tell you can video them with your phone, but to turn your flash off. I kept my flash on, and I got lit up pretty
well, as you should.
Yeah,
those poor ducks.
I know. Well, they didn't seem. Hey, I will tell you this: they weren't bothered by the flash, but
they were okay.
We were warned. Yeah, they weren't.
The Peabody was. Remember the movie The Firm with Tom Cruise?
Yeah,
and like that's where the Chicago mob when they came in. To like
that's
meet.
where the Peabody.
Yeah,
that's where they stayed. At the Peabody.
Yeah, that's where the mob stayed.
I'll tell you one thing. A lot of people are asking me, "Are you guys staying at the Peabody?" I'm like, no.
Well,
it's got to be like 500 a night.
No, I could have done it if you would have shared a room, but I didn't think that was a.
We're grown men.
Yeah, so we didn't do it.
We're not sharing a room.
Too old for that nonsense.
Yeah. Hey, how much was it?
I could have got it for like $250, $260.
Ooh.
It's cheaper than the media hotel rate.
That's not bad.
It would have been closer to 300, and I think we're paying like 149 for one room at the Spring Hill.
If you would have got us a suite at the Peabody, we'd do it.
Well, the amenities alone would be, but yeah, having to share a room would not.
Yeah, it's a bad deal for Rob. Let's say it.
It's a bad deal for anybody.
Yeah.
For any form. I mean, you realize as you get older, like sharing a room.
No, you just don't. It's just not good. Like no.
Like the awkward
On that
shower
note, I'm
moments.
gonna land the helicopter here.